Before I start this video, I want to say that I am excited if this is true. And while I do have my qualms about it, I'm gonna say this. If you believe this to be true, I wouldn't blame you. While I'm still skeptical, mostly because I've gotten adjusted to the way things work with gaming and gaming news and things getting leaked and talked about, this doesn't sound too far-fetched. But again, I'll link all sources in the description, specifically Gamer Guide's video. If you want more specific information, I'd watch that video. But otherwise, let's get right into it. What's good, everybody out there on YouTube? This is your man Shadicstick, dropping some hot frog on this mic. And today we're going to be talking about Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 remakes. Now, this was actually leaked by Gamer Guide from an insider or someone who knows an insider. And essentially they've confirmed, or they've speculated enough to nearly confirm a Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 remake, which I wouldn't be surprised if we got this year. This is Sonic's 30th anniversary, and it's been 20 years since we got a Sonic Adventure game in title. So again, while I don't think it's too far-fetched that we would get Adventure remakes, and Izuka's been talking about wanting to do an Adventure remake, I think you should all take this with a grain of salt. So essentially, Gamer Guide starts the video talking about how he's had, a leaker or someone who he knows who works at Sega who leaks some information. This person has apparently in the past leaked things like the plot to Sonic Forces, the creative character to Sonic Forces, and so on and so forth. So according to Gamer Guide, this guy knows. He has the insider scoop. And there's three things I want to talk about in this video. The time frame in which the Adventure remakes kind of started, which apparently were around the time or right before Forces ended development or before Forces came out. So this, game has been worked on for about 3 to 4 years. Whether it went into its conceptual stages that long ago, or whether it just started development right off the ground then and there. On top of that, there's another thing where they're talking about how this game was going to originally get released as just Adventure 1 or maybe Adventure 2, and they were fumbling the bag essentially on whether it should be both Adventure 1 and 2 or just Adventure 1 or Adventure 1 and Adventure 2 separately, which I think if they sold Adventure 1 and Adventure 2 separately, that'd be the dumbest thing to do on the planet. They'd have to really overhaul those games and introduce a lot more content in order for that to work, I think. Because while I think there's enough content in each to justify a $60 price tag, developers like Beanox and Toys for Bob have released the Crash Insane Trilogy and the Spyro Reignited Trilogy for $40 for 3 games. Although those games do have less content than Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 on average, at least main game content. Spyro is a collectathon, so it takes you however long it takes you to collect everything. But alongside that, I want to talk about the Sonic Rift leaks, because I haven't made any videos on Sonic Rift, and that's mostly because I believe Sonic Rift probably isn't real. I asked you guys on stream, I think, and during the video premiere, the last video, did y'all want to see a Sonic Rift video? Y'all guys said no, and I just was like, okay, that makes sense, because I really don't believe Sonic Rift to be real. While it seems plausible given the state the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise is in, and considering they've been pushing Boost, and while it had worked for 3 of the games, it did not work for Forces, so people have kind of pulled back from, really accepting Boost as the mainstay 3D formula. I could see them pushing another Boost game in the future. If Sonic Rift is real, again, I wouldn't be surprised, but it just didn't sound real considering that this guy who leaked it was a game tester, and while he was under NDA not to show anything, he wasn't under NDA to talk about anything, which for a title that big, I'd imagine you'd be put under NDA to not talk about it or to say very specific things about it like he was saying. So I don't see Sonic Rift being real. But if the Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 remakes are real, I wonder a few things. Are they going to use the same engine that they've been using for years, the Hedgehog engine, or now the Hedgehog engine 2? Now, the Hedgehog engine 2, as you guys know, is mostly a graphical engine in name. And I think people blame the engine for things like physics when they really shouldn't. Again, the Hedgehog engine has no bearing or anything on the gameplay. It is just a graphical engine. But what we do know is that that engine is a lot more capable because a lot of graphical effects were left out of Sonic Forces. Whether that was to achieve graphical parity across the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, or if that was simply just to keep the game at 60 frames per second on last generation consoles, we may never know. But what I do know is that engine is actually relatively powerful in what it can deliver graphically, especially because it was made to essentially deliver CG quality graphics. So seeing Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 updated in that style would actually be pretty dope. I'd also like to see the soap shoes return for Sonic Adventure 2. But more on the Sonic Adventure 3 thing that kind of worries me is that they're going to be using the feedback from Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 Remake to make a Sonic Adventure 3, which has already been done essentially with the Crash Insane Trilogy to Crash 4. I can see this working and I can see this not working. The reason I say this is because the fans in general have made statements over the course of the series' life that have hindered certain games. Lost World, I think, is the biggest culmination of Sega listening to the fans too much. And I feel like if they either A, listen to the fans too much, or they deviate too much from what the originals were, that they could fall flat on their face. On top of that, are these remakes going to be exactly the same in terms of gameplay, or as close to the same in terms of gameplay? Or are they going to really try to update and fix a lot of the gameplay issues, especially with Sonic Adventure 1? Sonic Adventure 2 really suffers from a lot of collision detection issues, and that game being the first game to use grind rails. But outside of that, I think it's the much more solid game in terms of controlling Sonic and friends. When we look at Adventure 1, Sonic hits walls when he's going too fast. I feel like a lot of the stages don't facilitate him being able to move fast in certain sections, which is fine, but it feels like there are certain sections where Sonic is just hitting walls and he's getting continually stopped despite it being a straight line because he moves too fast for the player to control a bit. On top of that, are they going to fix things like Amy's acceleration, Big's gameplay overall, making stages really adaptable for characters like Tails? Because Tails just kind of felt overpowered in a sense. He just was dropped into Sonic levels. And also, are they going to take that 6-character story format? I feel like that really hinders Sonic Adventure. Because while I think it's cool that you get the adventure around, or at least I thought it was cool when I was younger. I don't care for hub worlds now. But when I was younger, I used to think it was pretty cool that I could go around as each character in the hub world and, you know, explore around or whatever a bit. But I feel like that structure of gameplay style doesn't lend itself well to storytelling. Because I think on top of having some inconsistencies in terms of story, because they try to change the perspective and really just change your story events outright, another issue they have is like you see the same events over and over and over and over again, and you just get irritated with it. And while they did add the ability in the GameCube version and so on and so forth to skip cutscenes, the game just wound up being a drag overall if you were replaying it again. Especially if you wanted to experience the story in full again because you didn't know what cutscenes to skip and what cutscenes to not skip. Because sometimes the alterations were as little as a character entering a room slightly earlier than another character. I don't know. Well, I feel like this is, true to some degree that they might be looking into developing, a Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, or they are developing Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 remakes. I'd say still take it with a grain of salt because we don't have concrete names. And that's for the sake of, protecting the leaker and protecting the guy who works at Sega who knows the leaker, which there's nothing wrong with doing. People have to keep their jobs. But overall, I'd like to know how you guys feel about this. How do you feel about a Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 remake coming? Do you think it's real? And what would you like to see from them? And do you think this leading into a Sonic Adventure 3 is true? I mean, it would make sense considering that the Crash series has done that, and while I don't think the Crash and Sonic are comparable in terms of gameplay really, I think they're comparable in the sense that many 3D platformers have been making a return in a big way, whether that be critically or just reviving the series. But guys, this has been your man, Shadicstick. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Make sure to hit that notification bell. We're almost at 5,000 subs, guys. We're only 500 away, so it'd be highly appreciated if you subscribed and share out this video. Get your friends to subscribe. Get your mother, your cousins, your sisters, your brother, your dad. Get all of them. But again, this has been your man, Shadicstick. Remember, Hot Faraga turns to Cold Blizzaga. Make sure you chill out some of my other videos. Peace. Kiss, kiss.